Hey y'all, I'm Deborah. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is my update for the panning project called Pan Me a Story, Watson. These are based on all of the stories written by Arthur Conan Doyle about his main character Sherlock Holmes and his friend Watson. That's why it's called Pan Me a Story, Watson. Um, so with this said, there is information down below. We started in May on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's birthday, and it will go until next May. So you can jump in anytime. There's really no restrictions. And the information to sign up is down below in the description box, and a list of people who are participating in this project are also down there as well. Okay, so to get on with what I've got, product that has been in here the longest is for The Adventures of the Crooked Man, and the prompt for that story is something you forgot was in your collection. So for me, it's this tea tree oil foot repair balm. And you can see where I started it in this project, and I'm making progress, slow but steady, and we are down to here. So good progress, probably several more months worth of progress to be finished, and the goal is to finish that product. All right, the second product was actually a refresh from a product that I mislaid. For a study in Scarlet, I brought in a red product. This is a lip liner from Laura Mercier in the shade Red Velvet. It is a really nice but warm orangey red lip liner. I'm actually wearing it today with a more pinky nude lipstick over it. And I'm learning to love this one. I thought it was a little cooler when I bought it, but it's growing on me. It is in here to use 4 centimeters, and I have used a total of 1.3 centimeters, and so will use it until this part is down to here, because that's what I had measured it from, was the painted portion that was showing. So that will be in here for a little while longer. All right, the next product was for The Adventure of the Golden Pince-Nez, an eye product. So I brought in an eyeliner to finish. This is from Too Faced. It's their Killer Liner line in the shade Killer Sapphire. It's actually more of a midnight blue than a sapphire, although when I put a lighter like when I set my eye makeup with something a little bit lighter, you do see more of the blue, but it is more of a midnight blue than a kind of what we think of as a sapphire. So this one is in to finish. It started out at 10 centimeters and it is down to 8 centimeters, so making progress. And with that is with 25 uses. So it's got a ways to go. I have 4 eyeliners in projects, and so this is it's taken a while to get more of these in and out of projects. All right, so for The Adventure of the Creeping Man, I was looking for something anti-aging. And you know, the best thing you can do for anti-aging is sunscreen. So I brought in my favorite chemical sunscreen, Black Girl Sunscreen. It's an SPF 30, readily available at Target, CVS, and it was in to finish, and it is empty. I got 11 uses out of it after I brought it in, and it was actually a little bit lower than that. It was right at this line when I brought it in. So I really love this. I will definitely be replacing this one. I almost went and replaced it today. It'll get replaced this coming weekend. happy to use that one and repurchase. All right, for The Adventure of the Priory School, this was a story about jealousy. And so I brought in something that was green, and what I brought in was my Anastasia Beverly Hills The Nouveau palette. This was a new palette this year that she released. It is kind of beautiful muted fall colors. They're not the very vibrant burgundies and rusts. They're very much, or dark olives. They're very much more muted, which is just, I'm completely happy with that. I tend to wear more subtle eye looks than a lot of YouTubers prefer. And that's just me. Not that I don't think those things are beautiful. It's just not me. So I prefer the softer, more muted colors. And this one, I love this palette. I love the formula that are in here. One day I'm going to figure out what to do with this bright lavender shade. It looks more white in here, but it is actually fairly, when you look at it in real life, it is purple. So I have brought this in for 5 uses. I have used it 4 times, so it will get used the 5th use tomorrow. So I am going to roll in a product to replace this one, even though it technically has one more day. But it'll actually be done by the time this video airs. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that one, roll a story for that one. Okay, so let's take a look at my Spin the Wheel app and see what we can do. I hate it when these things pop up ads in the middle of you trying to do something. Just shut it down and bring it back up. Okay, here we go. All right, the story of the noble bachelor. And next one will be the creeping man. We already did that one. So I'm going to hide that slice and hit again. Reigate Square. All right, y'all, I will take a quick look at these stories, look at the prompts, and choose some products. I'll be back in just a few. Hey, y'all, I am going to start with the story of the noble bachelor. So in this story, there was a member of high society, Lord St. Simon, who had lost a bride. She had run away right after the wedding. They had gotten married, and she had disappeared from the wedding breakfast, where, so basically the reception. And he was, it was scandalized through the town. And so he had sought Sherlock Holmes' assistance in finding his bride. Her wedding dress and the wedding ring had been found on the banks of the river. There was no body. She had just disappeared. So her name was Hattie Doran, Doran. Hattie Doran they had met when he was visiting America. She was from San Francisco. Her father had made his fortune in the gold rush, and they had taken a trip back to England, and Lord St. Simon and Miss Doran met up again and fell in love and were betrothed, had gotten married. But at the ceremony, there was a gentleman in the church, because it was in the morning in the church. There was a gentleman that Miss Doran recognized. It turned out that this was indeed her husband, who she thought was long dead, and she still desperately loved him. But she had thought he was dead. He had actually made his fortune and come looking for her. So this is the story of the noble bachelor. So for that story, I'm going to bring in something gold, because wedding ring being gold. I'm going to bring in another shade from my Modern Renaissance palette. I am on my way to panning this palette, I think. And I'm going to bring in this gold shimmer Primavera. It is so soft. And it's just a lovely inner corner highlight, brow bone highlight. It's just beautiful. And it is buttery soft. It's already got a big dip in it. And so I am going to bring this into pan for the noble bachelor. All right, for the story of the Reigate Squire, this is a story with some twists and some underhanded evil. Okay, so Mr. Holmes got called for some very odd shenanigans up and at a country house. He was called to help an old friend who had there were some break-ins in the area. Several of the estate houses had been broken into. And they were just stealing like bits and bobs. There wasn't a lot of stuff that was valuable. In fact, Colonel Hayter, who had initially, contacted Mr. Holmes, the thieves only took in his house an odd volume of Pope's Homer, 2 plated candlesticks, an ivory letter weight, a small oak barometer, and a bottle of twine. That sounds like a very odd group of items to break into a wealthy man's house and to steal. Very strange indeed. So in looking and going to this area and looking around at investigating all of the break-ins that had been happening, Mr. Holmes uncovered a lawsuit between 2 of the men whose homes had been burgled. And so it was a disagreement about some land, and one of them said he owned the land, the other one said he owned the land, and so they both had conflicting titles, and they were in the midst of a court case about this. At some point, when one of the the Cunninghams' house was burgled, one of their servants was shot and killed. So Mr. Holmes went over there to investigate Mr. Cunningham's burglary, and it was once again bits and bobs and the dead body. But William, the servant who was killed, had a piece of paper clutched in his hand. And that was sort of the key to everything. It was just the corner piece of a piece of paper. As Mr. Holmes investigates this, it looks like on the piece of paper, every other word was obviously written by a different hand. So there were 2 people in on this who couldn't quite tell couldn't read the whole message because it was only the corner that just said, at 11:45, learn what, maybe. So he had to figure out what was going on. It turned out that William had deduced what these gentlemen, the Mr. Cunningham and his son was just a thoroughly bad dude to start with. They were actually staging all these little break-ins so that they could go to Mr. Acton's house and steal back the evidence that the property was actually his. William had found out about it and was blackmailing them. So the Mr. Cunningham's son, Cunningham the younger, murdered William. And of course, Mr. Holmes unravels this whole picture in order to, and solves the crime and solves the adventure of Reigate Square. Okay, so for Reigate Square, there were little things that were, just bits and bobs and knickknacks and weird, bizarre one-offs that were being stolen. If you hear squealing, my little cat is just acting like he's dying, but I promise he's not. He's been fed, but he's just really loud. So I'm bringing in a mini, a trial size, because really they were just picking up little things. I'm bringing in from Dr. Dennis Gross the all physical lightweight wrinkle defense broad spectrum sunscreen SPF 30. And this is coming in to finish for the adventure of the Reigate Squire. All right, guys, I hope you are enjoying these stories. I would encourage you, if you've enjoyed telling the story, go back, take a look at the story and read it, because some of these stories are just very wittily written, and you get all the conversations and the snarky, sarcastic stuff from Sherlock Holmes. And they're thoroughly enjoyable stories. All right. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe, hit like, hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time with another story. All right, guys, bye.